Hello everyone, I am Kinjal Patel, Assistant Professor at LG Institute of Engineering and Technology in the Department of Computer Engineering. So here is the chapter 1, Introduction to Compiler, lecture 2. In this lecture we will learn phases of compiler, path structure and types of compiler. So first topic is phases of compiler. Compiler consists of two subphases. First one is analysis phase and second one is synthesis phase. So analysis phase has three subphases. First one is lexical analysis, second one is syntax analysis and third one is semantic analysis. So when our source program is passed to the compiler, compiler perform lexical analysis. So lexical analysis will convert our source program into number of tokens. Now that token will be passed to the syntax analysis. So syntax analysis will check for the errors in our input string, and if there are no errors then it will generate a parse tree. Then that parse tree will be passed to the semantic analysis. So semantic analysis will define some meaning of our source program. Then the output of all these three sub phases is passed to the intermediate code generation, which is our fourth phase. So intermediate code generation will generate one intermediate form from the output of these three sub phases. So intermediate form is a error-free code. Now that intermediate code will be passed to the synthesis phase. So synthesis phase has two sub phases. First one is code optimization and second one is code generation. So output of intermediate code generation is passed to the code optimization phase. So code optimization phase will reduce the size of our code and it will optimize our code. So now that optimized code will be passed to the code generation phase, and code generation phase will generate assembly code from optimized code. So these are the 6 sub phases of compiler. We will learn all these phases with one example. So first phase is lexical analysis. Lexical analysis is also called as a linear analysis or scanning. Why scanning? Because lexical analysis scans our source program from left to right, one character at a time. So it is also called as a scanning. So lexical analyzer divides our source program into number of tokens. Tokens means the string which has some meaning. For example, token can be keywords, identifier, constant, operator, etc. So first here is the expression position equals to initial plus rate multiply with 60. So consider this single line expression as our source program. So when this source program is passed to the compiler, compiler will perform lexical analysis on this source program. So then lexical analysis scans the source program from left to right, and when it finds one string, then it matches that string with the pattern of different tokens. So as position match with the token of identifier, so lexical analysis will denote that position is an identifier type of token. Then once one string is found as a token, it will check for the another string which is equals to, so as equals to match with the pattern of assignment operator, it will denote that equals to is an assignment operator. Then next string is initial. So as initial match with the pattern of identifier, so it is identifier type of token. Then plus, so plus symbol is an operator or plus symbol. Then next string is rate. So rate match with the pattern of identifier. So rate is an identifier type of token. Then multiplication match with the multiplication sign. So it is multiplication symbol. Then 60 is a number or constant. So here lexical analysis has converted this expression into group of tokens. ID1 equals to ID2 plus ID3 multiply with 60. Now this expression will be passed to the syntax analysis. So our next phase is syntax analysis. Syntax analysis is also called as parsing or hierarchical analysis, as it generates the parse tree. So it is called as a parsing. Syntax analysis check for the errors in our source string. So if our code is error free, then it will generate the syntax tree. So here output of lexical analysis is passed to the syntax analysis. Now it will generate one parse tree. So to generate the parse tree, we need to define priority of the operators. So here there are three operators in this expression. First one is equals to, second one is plus, and third one is multiplication. So from these operators, multiplication has highest priority. So first we will draw the parse tree of multiplication. So we will draw the parse tree of ID3 multiply with the 60. So here you can see that ID3 multiply with 60. So multiplication has two child ID3 and 60. Now multiplication has been constructed. Now second highest operator is plus. So now we will add ID2 with the output of ID3 multiply with 60. So we will add ID2 with the multiplication of ID3 and 60. So whole expression has been created that ID2 equals to ID3 multiply with 60. Now last operator is equals to, which is an assignment operator and it has the lowest priority. So now we will assign ID1 to the whole expression and the whole expression is stored into plus symbol. So we will add ID1 equals to the whole expression. So this is how parse tree can be generated by syntax analysis. Now this parse tree will be passed to the semantic analysis. So semantic analysis will define the meaning of our statement. So next phase is semantic analysis. It determines the meaning of our source string and it performs following operation. So first, matching of parentheses in expression means if there is any mismatch occurs in parentheses in the expression, then it will generate the error messages. Then second one is matching of if-else statement. So if there is any mismatch occurs in if-else statement, it will generate the error messages. Then third one is performing arithmetic operation that are type compatible. Means if our arithmetic operation is not type compatible, then it will perform typecasting. Then fourth, it checks for the scope of operation. So in this example, we will learn that how it performs typecasting. So in this example, consider that ID1, ID2 and ID3 are real type. So we need to convert 60 into real, which is integer type. So we need to perform integer to real typecasting. So semantic analysis will perform typecasting and will convert this 60 into real. And our parse tree will be like this, that ID1 equals to ID2 plus ID3 multiply with integer to real 60. Now this parse tree will be passed to the next phase, which is intermediate code generation. So There are two important properties intermediate code should have. First one is it should be easy to produce, and second one is it should be easy to translate into target program, as we want to convert this intermediate code into target program. So intermediate code can be in different forms like 3 address code, tuple, triple, the indirect triple, then postfix notation, polish notations, but the most popular one is 3 address code. So here we will convert this parse tree into 3 address code. So 3 address code means the expression which has at most 3 operands in it. In this expression there are 4 operands. So this expression is 4 address code, and we want to convert this expression into 3 address code. So now this parse tree will be passed to the intermediate code. So it will generate 3 address code from this expression. So first T1, which is temporary value. So it tried to store 60 integer to real value into T1 temporary value. So T1 equals to integer to real temporary value. Now we want to multiply this 60 with ID3. So for that, ID3 multiply with T1, and that result will be stored into another temporary value, which is T2. So ID3 multiply with T1 and result is stored into T2 temporary value. So here you can see that our code is 3 address code, as there are 3 operands in this expression, that T2, ID3 and T1. So in 3 address code there can be 3 operators at max, and it can be less. Like you can see in first expression that T1 equals to integer to real 60. So there are 2 operands in this expression and 1 operator. Now we want to add ID2 with the output of ID3 multiply with 60, which is stored into T2. So T3 equals to ID2 plus T2, as the result of ID3 multiply with 60 is stored into T2. So T3 equals to T2 plus ID2. Now we want to assign this ID1 to this whole expression, and this whole expression is stored into T3. So now we'll assign the value of T3 to ID1. So last expression is ID1 equals to T3. So our result has been stored into ID1. So this is 3 address code which intermediate code generation has generated. Now this intermediate code will be passed to the code optimization phase. Code optimization phase improves the intermediate code. So this is necessary to have faster execution of code or less consumption of memory. So to reduce the time complexity and space complexity, code optimization is used, because it reduces the number of lines from our intermediate code. So when our intermediate code is passed to the code optimization phase, it performs code optimization and reduce the number of lines if it is possible. So here, first and second statement, we can reduce these 2 lines to 1 line by directly stored 60 value into T2. Like we can directly perform T1 equals to ID3 multiply with 60. So our 2 line will be converted into 1 line. T1 equals to ID3 multiply with 60. So now our code has been reduced from 2 to 1. Now in third and fourth statement, that T3 equals to T2 plus ID2 and ID1 equals to T3. So we can reduce this 2 line to 1 by directly store the result of T2 plus ID2 into ID1 instead of T3. Like what we are doing in this expression, that we are storing the result of T2 plus ID2 into T3, and we are moving the result of this T3 into ID1. So we can directly store this result of T2 plus ID2 into ID1 only. So next line is ID1 equals to ID2 plus T1. So this is how code optimization reduce the size of code to reduce the time complexity and space complexity. Now the output of code optimization phase will be passed to the code generation phase. So the intermediate instructions are translated into sequence of machine instructions or assembly instructions. So here we will generate assembly code from this intermediate code. So in first expression, first we want to move one variable into R2 register. So it will move ID3 into R2 register by instruction move. Now we want to multiply ID3 with 60. So ID3 has been stored in R2 register. So now we want to multiply 60 with R2 register. So multiply 60 with R2 register and the result will be stored in R2 register only. So R2 has value ID3 multiplied by 60. Now we want to add ID2 plus T1. So T1 means the result of ID3 multiplied with 60, which is stored in register R2. So now we will move one variable ID2 to R1 register. So now R1 register has ID2 and we want to add this ID2 to T1, which is ID3 multiplied with 60. So now add R2 to R1. R2 means ID3 multiplied with 60 and R1 means ID2. So the result will be stored in R1 only. So R1 has the whole expression, which is ID2 plus ID3 multiplied with 60. Now we want to move this result to ID1. So the result of R1 will be moved to the ID1 by instruction move, that move R1 comma ID1. So these are the 6 phases of compiler. Next, we'll summarize the phases of compiler in one figure which you need to draw in exam. So here is the 6 phases of compiler. One source program is passed to the lexical analysis, and after performing all 6 phases, target program can be generated. Then one symbol table is used to store the variable and its information, and error detection and recovery is used to detect the error and recover it if possible. So here is the analysis phase. First 3 phases are included in analysis phase and last 2 phases are included in synthesis phase, and our symbol table which has the variable and its information stored. Now next topic is pass structure. One complete scan of source program is called pass. So there are 2 types of pass compiler. First one is single pass compiler and second one is 2 pass compiler. So in single pass compiler, analysis of source program is immediately followed by synthesis of equivalent target program. Means analysis and synthesis phase both are stored in single pass compiler. So memory requirement is more in single pass compiler. In 2-pass compiler, intermediate code is generated between analysis and synthesis phase. Means the output of analysis phase will be stored into intermediate code and that intermediate code will be passed to the synthesis phase. So it performs the compilation in 2 passes, that it performs analysis of source program and note that relevant information. Now in pass 2, generate the target code using information noted in pass 1. So in 2-pass compiler, memory complexity or space complexity is less, while time complexity is high because it requires times to generate the intermediate file. So we'll see the effect of reducing the number of passes. It is desirable to have few passes because it takes time to read and write intermediate file. So in 2-pass compiler, time complexity is high, but memory complexity or space complexity is less. While in single pass compiler, memory requirement may be large, means in single pass compiler, space complexity is high, while time complexity is less. So there are both advantages and disadvantages of having single pass and 2-pass compiler. So user can use any of compiler according to their requirement. Now last topic is types of compiler. First type is 1-pass compiler. So in 1-pass compiler, the whole process of compilation is stored in 1 pass. Then second process is 2-pass compiler. So in 2-pass compiler, the process of compilation is divided into 2 passes. And third type is native code compiler. The compiler used to compile a source code for a same type of platform only. Means native code compiler are not platform independent. It can be used to compile the code in which it has been built. Then cross compiler. So cross compiler is platform independent. This compiler is used to compile a source code for a different kind of platforms. So these are the 4 types of compiler. This was the last topic. Now we'll start chapter 2 in next lecture. Thank you.